My wife discovered photography 6 months ago. It started innocently enough. A new hobby, creative expression, something for herself after 15 years of marriage. "I need this," she said. "I've been supporting your career for so long. I deserve something that's mine." I agreed. Emma had been patient while I built my consulting firm from nothing. If she wanted to explore photography, I supported it completely. The workshops cost $600 each, every Saturday. 8 hours with Marcus Bennett, a landscape photographer whose work had been featured in National Geographic. I saw his credentials: published author, industry awards, exhibitions in major galleries. The price seemed justified for that level of expertise. Emma came home glowing after each session. Her camera bag, a $2,000 Leica I'd bought for her birthday, was always meticulously organized. She spoke about aperture settings and golden hour lighting with genuine enthusiasm. She showed me some of her work: cityscapes at dusk, architectural details, nature shots from local parks. They were good. Not professional, but promising for a beginner. "Marcus says I have natural talent," she told me one evening. "He wants me to submit to a local exhibition." I was proud. My wife, discovering a passion. Finding joy in something beyond our routine. But I noticed something odd. Emma would spend hours editing photos on her laptop, but she never printed anything, never shared her work on social media, never talked about building a portfolio. "I'm not ready yet," she'd say when I asked. "Marcus says I need more training." More training, more workshops, more Saturdays at $600 each. 6 months in, she'd spent $1,400 to $400 on photography education. I didn't question it. We could afford it. My consulting firm was doing well, $380,000 annually, with steady growth. But something felt incomplete about the story she was telling. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday night. Emma left her laptop open while taking a shower. I walked past, glanced at the screen out of habit. Her photo library was open, thousands of images, organized by date. I scrolled idly. Sunsets, buildings, trees. Nothing unusual. Then I noticed the deleted folder, 847 recently deleted images. I hesitated. This felt like crossing a line. But 847 deleted photos from someone claiming to need more training seemed strange. Why delete so much work? I clicked. The first image loaded. Emma, not behind the camera, in front of it, standing by a window in soft afternoon light, casual clothes, natural smile. I scrolled. More images, different locations, different outfits. Some were clearly posed portraits, professional quality, the kind of shots that required direction, planning, behind-the-scenes work shots maybe, learning to be a subject as well as a photographer. Then I saw one that stopped me cold. Emma sitting on a hotel bed, not provocative, just intimate. The composition, the lighting, the expression. This wasn't a technical exercise. I heard the shower turn off. I closed the laptop, walked back to my office, sat in silence. I'm a management consultant. I solve problems by gathering data, analyzing patterns, making evidence-based decisions. Emotion clouds judgment. Accusations without proof damage relationships irreparably. I needed more information. The next morning I researched Marcus Bennett. His professional website was impressive. Awards, publications, client testimonials. His portfolio section showed landscape work exclusively. Mountains, coastlines, desert formations. Not a single portrait. Why would a landscape photographer be taking portrait sessions with my wife? I made a decision. I would commission Marcus Bennett for a corporate project, and I would ask to see his complete portfolio. Let me be clear about my financial position. My consulting firm specializes in operational efficiency for mid-sized manufacturers. I charge $15,000 per project, completing roughly 25 annually. Annual revenue, $375,000, $400,000, depending on workload. After taxes and business expenses, I net approximately $280,000 personally. Emma knew the general numbers but never asked for specifics. She had access to our joint account, where her workshop payments came from, but never questioned the separate business accounts. Over 15 years of marriage, I'd accumulated approximately $1.4 million in assets, $680,000 in investment accounts, premarital and separate, $520,000 in home equity, mostly from my down payment before marriage, $200,000 in business assets and liquid reserves. Most of this was legally separate property. I'd been methodical about keeping finances documented and distinct, but that was just background. What mattered now was the project. I called Marcus Bennett's studio. Bennett Photography, this is Marcus. Mr. Bennett, my name is David Chen. I'm looking to commission a corporate photography project. I saw your landscape work in the Metro magazine feature. Thank you. What kind of project? Annual report for my consulting firm. I want something different. Not generic office shots. I'm thinking industrial landscapes, manufacturing spaces, the intersection of human work and natural materials. Silence. Then, that's actually really interesting. I don't usually do corporate work. I know, that's why I'm interested. Your eye for composition in natural settings would bring something unique, and I'm willing to pay premium rates for the right vision. What kind of budget are we discussing? $12,000 for the project, including location scouting, shoot days, and editing, plus expenses. Another pause. That's generous. I value quality. But before I commit, I'd like to see your full portfolio. Not just what's on your website. I want to understand your range. Of course, can you come by the studio Thursday afternoon? Perfect. I hung up. Emma didn't know about the commission. I didn't lie. I simply didn't mention it. Thursday came. I drove to Marcus's studio in the industrial district. A converted warehouse space, large windows, white walls, professional lighting setups. Marcus Bennett was late 30s. Fit, casual confidence. The kind of person who made small talk feel like meaningful conversation. David, good to meet you. Firm handshake. Let me show you what I've been working on. He pulled up his portfolio on a large monitor. Started with the landscapes. Stunning work. I understood why National Geographic had published him. This is impressive, I said, but I'm curious. Do you do any other styles? Portraits, perhaps? He hesitated just a fraction of a second. Some, not my main focus. Can I see? I'm trying to understand your versatility. He clicked to a different folder, and there was my wife, standing in golden hour light, sitting on a bench in a park, leaning against a brick wall, walking through autumn leaves. Professional quality, artistic, beautiful. Marcus was watching my face. These are lovely, I said calmly. Who's the subject? A student of mine. She's been learning portrait composition. She's very photogenic. Yes. I pointed to one image, Emma on a hotel bed, the one I'd seen in her deleted folder. This is interesting, the intimacy of the composition. Very different from landscape work. Marcus shifted slightly. That was an experimental session, exploring different emotional tones. In a hotel room. Silence. I maintained eye contact. Calm. No anger. Just observation. Mr. Bennett, I recognize her. She's my wife, Emma Chen. His face went pale. I continued, voice steady. She's been attending your workshops for 6 months. $600 each session. I've paid $14,400 for her photography education. Marcus started to speak. I raised my hand. I'm not here to make a scene. I'm here because I actually do need corporate photography for my annual report, and your landscape work is legitimately excellent. He stared at me. But I need to ask you a professional question. These portrait sessions with my wife, were they part of the $600 workshops, or were they separate arrangements? He didn't answer. I'll make this simple, I said. I'll commission you for the $12,000 project. Full payment, no drama. But I need the truth, and I need complete copies of every photograph you've taken of Emma. For my records. Marcus Bennett sat down. I'm going to be honest with you, he said, because you're being calmer than I expected, and I don't want to make this worse. I appreciate that. The workshops are real. I do teach photography. Emma is genuinely learning, but... He paused. She asked if we could do some portrait sessions. Said she wanted to understand both sides of the camera. And you agreed? Yes, initially as part of the workshop structure. Then she suggested booking private sessions, still $600, but focused entirely on portraits. How many private sessions? 8. Another $4,800 I hadn't known about. And the locations? I asked. Hotels? Parks? She chose them, said she wanted to practice different lighting environments. Hotels have interesting natural light through windows. I nodded slowly. Did anything physical happen between you? He met my eyes. No. I photograph people for a living. I know where boundaries are. We talked. She posed. I shot. Nothing else. But you knew she was married. She never hid it. Talked about you sometimes. Said you were busy with work. That she needed something that was hers. The story I'd told myself 6 months ago. I believed Marcus. His discomfort felt genuine. He'd been unprofessional, blurring client boundaries, taking money for sessions that felt emotionally inappropriate, but not criminal. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to transfer every image you've taken of Emma, raw files, edited versions, everything, to this drive. I handed him a USB drive. Then you're going to write an email summarizing what you've told me. The number of sessions, the payment amounts, the nature of the arrangements, professional documentation. And then? Then I forget this conversation ever happened. You complete my corporate project. We maintain a professional relationship. Emma never knows we spoke. Why? Because I don't need drama. I need evidence. I need documentation. I need to understand what I'm dealing with before I make any decisions. Marcus transferred the files, wrote the email, sent it to the address I provided. I shook his hand and left. That evening, I went through every image on the drive. 823 photographs total, half from the group workshops, legitimate landscape and architectural work, half from the private sessions, portraits of Emma. The images weren't sexual, but they were intimate in a way that made my chest tight. Emma looking vulnerable, confident, free, expressions I hadn't seen in years. Not because she was having an affair with Marcus, because she was having an emotional affair with the version of herself she became during those sessions. The woman in those photographs wasn't thinking about our mortgage, or my consulting projects, or the quiet routine we'd built over 15 years. She was thinking about being seen, being admired, being something other than my wife. I sat in my office until midnight, looking at images of a woman I'd been married to for 15 years, who I suddenly didn't recognize. The next morning, I called my attorney, not to file for divorce, to ask what documentation I would need if I ever did. I never confronted Emma about the photographs. Instead, I made a different choice. I focused the energy I'd been wasting on a failing marriage into building something that actually mattered, my consulting firm. I took on 3 major clients I'd been too comfortable to pursue, expanded into industrial automation consulting, hired 2 junior consultants to handle overflow work. Revenue increased 60% in 18 months. I'm now pulling $580,000 annually, not because I needed the money, because I needed the focus. Emma eventually asked about the photography workshops. Can I resume them? I missed the creative outlet. Of course, I said. Use your own account, though. I'm redirecting discretionary funds into business growth. She attended 2 more sessions, then stopped entirely. Turns out the passion evaporated when it wasn't on my dime. We divorced quietly 8 months later. No drama, no photographs revealed. Just honest acknowledgement that we'd been roommates pretending to be married. I sold the house within 3 weeks, bought a loft downtown, modern, floor-to-ceiling windows, 1 bedroom, 1 office, exactly what I need. I still have the USB drive with 823 photographs, not as some shrine to betrayal, as a reminder. A reminder that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't spend years hoping they'll become someone else. These days I date a patent attorney, a sustainability consultant, a woman who teaches advanced mathematics at the university, real conversations, real attraction, women who don't need $600 portrait sessions to feel visible. The best part? None of them have ever asked me to validate them through a camera lens. They just show up, as themselves. Honestly, turns out that's all I ever wanted. Not revenge, not confrontation, Not even apologies. Just someone who doesn't need professional photographers to feel real. The USB drive sits in a drawer, not as a wound, as proof. Proof that I chose freedom over fighting, and built something better than explanations.